This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And this time, for the 35th time, we are live. I think on Thursday I said that episode was the 35th episode of the show, but it was not. It was actually the 34th episode, but gotta correct myself here on that one. So this is the 35th episode of the Reviewing Network Live. Welcome, everybody. This is our show, of course, where we look back on the week in entertainment news, stories of intrigue in general, but it was not a busy news week in terms of stuff for movies and television, so we're not going to delve into too much of that per se. This episode in particular is going to be, we're going to have one major focus on this particular episode, and that is, of course, the summer movie season, which starts next week. It's going to be a very intriguing summer movie season, to say the least, because we've got things that have not happened in a long time, but we'll get to those as we move along here. We're also going to have the recommendations for the week at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But we've already gone through the disclaimer, we've already talked about what we're going to do, so let's begin the conversation. And let's start off by taking a look at this weekend's box office. The weekend box office, the penultimate week, I wanted to say. I couldn't remember the word I wanted to use. The penultimate week before we get to the beginning of where the true fun begins in terms of the box office, but there's some interesting things to talk about here in the top 5 at least, so let's go ahead and just jump right on into it. Starting with the number 5 film this week, and that is Abigail, which, not surprisingly, fell off after being the number 2 film last week, bringing in about $5.2 million, dropping 49% from last week, bringing its 2-week total up to $18.8 million. The worldwide gross is up to $28.6 million, which I think just puts it past its budget, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not there, it's pretty close. It's right on it. $28 million was the budget, $28.6 million worldwide, so it's made its budget back, so it's all profit from this point on, and it's worthy because it's a really good film, and one that I wish didn't take that big of a drop-off that it did, but nevertheless, still made money, still made its budget back, so everybody wins on that front, I guess. So, let's go ahead and move on to the number 4 film, which actually dropped from the number 1 spot after the last 2 weeks. Civil War. Alex Garland's Civil War dropped down to all the way to number 4, which you would think would be bad, but the drop-off wasn't too bad in particular. 37.6% drop-off from last week. $7 million even. $56.2 million. I think that puts it close to A24's highest-grossing movies of all time, if not the highest grossing film they've done. Worldwide, it's up to $71.9 million, and I'm curious now. Let's see what the highest grossing films are, because it's got to be close if it's not already there. Let me see. It's getting close. Everywhere All at Once is at $77 million, so it's got about $20 million away to get there, and I think it could get there, honestly, if it keeps holding on as it does, and the word of mouth keeps coming in for it, which, I mean, it's $56.1 million. If it doesn't come close to it, come next to Everything Everywhere at Once, it's going to come close to it when it's all said and done. It's definitely one of the higher grossing films A24 has ever done, and it's a really damn good movie, too. Not really need to talk about that one too much since we've already delved into it. Number 3 this week, another film we've kind of already delved into. Godzilla x Kong New Empire, still hanging in there, still kicking ass. 24.8% drop off, $7.2 million, $181.6 million after 5 weeks. Worldwide, it's up to $519 million. What more can you expect from that film? So now let's get into some of the intriguing new films. There are 2 new movies in the top 5 this weekend, starting with number 2, and that is Unsung Hero, which, of course, this is a Lionsgate faith-based film. They've done pretty well with those over the last couple of years. And this is the latest film from the same company that brought us Jesus Revolution and I Can Only Imagine. I Can Only Imagine. And so, in this particular film, you have Rebecca Joel and Luke Smallbone for King and Country and their life journey to become Christian recording artists. That's literally all I know about the film. It also has Jonathan Jackson in it, Lucas Black, Candace Cameron, Terry O'Quinn's also in the movie as well. Really, that's all I know about the film, but it's a small budget film, $6 million, and it made $7.7 million. So again, instant profit for that film. I don't know too much about it. I see on Rotten Tomatoes it's got like a 58%, which is, I mean, it's interesting. Some of the movies they've done, Jesus Revolution actually got a ton of positive reviews when that movie came out. It was a highly praised film when that came out last year, I think. But even the one that just came out recently, Ordinary Angels, was also a big hit, was also a big critical hit as well. But this one was not a big critical hit. But like I said, $7.7 million on a $6 million budget. They've already made their money back, so they are good to go on that front. With that said, let's get to the number one movie, and this is not really much of a surprise, Challengers. The new film with Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Face, directed by Luca Guadagnino. The one where Zendaya basically puts these two guys who were former lovers of hers. One was a former lover, and one is his wife right now. One is her husband right now. That'd be a much different movie if that was the case, but it's a basic love triangle movie set around the world of tennis, and it just goes to show the star power of Zendaya is slowly but surely growing, as this film made $15 million. The budget on it is $55 million, which is not a good start for this film in general, but it's got the positive word of mouth in terms of critical reviews to keep it going. On Metacritic, it actually did pretty well with 83 out of 100, although the cinema score is only B+. And that's usually not a good sign for its longevity going forward, but it does show that, like I said, the star power for Zendaya is slowly but surely growing. You know, starring in this and then starring in the Dune movies, the Spider-Man movies, Euphoria. Her star power definitely is growing, and if this is a sign going forward that she's got some potential to become a box office star in the future, I don't know what really is. I think they said they were kind of expecting somewhere between $20 million, between $15 and $20 million. So, I mean, in a way, it did I'm reading on here. $12 to $15 million was the projected growth, so it actually did slightly better than I think people expected it to do. But at the same time, you know, it's $55 million, and with the worldwide growth so far, it's only up to $25 million. I don't know how good the box office for this is going to be, especially since we're heading into the summer season starting next week, and this movie's going to easily get knocked out with the big new releases coming up over the next couple of weeks. I really don't know how this is going to do. I mean, it's interesting because most adult movies that since the pandemic ended have not done very well. They haven't been like the big successes overall. There's only been a couple of exceptions, and even though this one opened up at number one, it's going to be really questionable how MGM is going to look at this. Like, this is a film that I think is really good. I think it's a film that definitely should be considered as one of the best films of the year. It should give Zendaya some Oscar consideration for her performance. But in terms of the financial circumstances, I don't know how they feel about this, honestly. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks and see how it pans out. $55 million is a little bit steep for a film to only open at $15 million, but if it has the legs to keep it going, it could probably get back there and then some, if not get there with worldwide grosses at least. So we'll see how MGM looks at this in terms of the longevity situation. But that's the number one movie this week in Challengers. A couple of re-releases came out this week, too, that did pretty well despite limited publicity. I mean, compare this to what happened with Disney and Pixar with the re-releases of Soul, Luca Turning Red. Those didn't do so well, but when Alien does $1.6 million without much advertising in general, and The Mummy does $1 million without a lot of people really knowing that was coming out either, that tells you something. That tells you something that I think we're going to see a lot more of over the next couple of weeks and months, that we're going to see more re-releases coming out. I know Star Wars Episode 1 is getting a re-release next week, so we'll see how that pans out. But also, there was one more new release that came out, Boy Kills World, which they started advertising on Fox and FXX this past week because, of course, Bill Skarsgård's inner voice is voiced by H. John Benjamin, the voice of Bob Belcher and Sterling Archer. Which that was probably Fox's way of getting the film out there because they know they had one of their stars involved in it, and yet it didn't do too well. It only brought in $1.7 million. Kind of curious of what the budget on this movie was because I didn't even know about it until just the last couple of weeks. You can't find the budget anywhere right now, but it didn't look like it wasn't a cheap film either. It looked like they did put money into it. How much money put into it? We probably won't know for a while now, but I'm pretty sure that they were expecting more than a $1.6 million opening for a film that was opening in just under 2,000 theaters. But there you go. That's the weekend box office. So let's go ahead and get into the main feature presentation for this show, and that is our look at the summer movie season of 2024. So for this particular segment, I'm only going to be focusing on the theatrical releases. I know there's a lot of streaming titles coming out on these days, but I want to put the focus solely on the movies that are coming out in theaters, because these are the movies that are going to make the most money for the studios. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this season pans out, because I mentioned it in the Talking About the Movies episode I did today. This is going to be the first summer since 2006 when the summer didn't begin with a Marvel movie. I mean, it started with Spider-Man 3, then we got Iron Man, then we got X-Men Origins Wolverine, Iron Man 2, Thor, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. I mean, we're not going to count the COVID year, but Black Widow technically kind of started it back up again in 2021. 2022, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And last year, we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this summer starts off with, because the first big new release of the summer, as we jump into May, is The Fall Guy, which is the feature film adaptation of the 1980s TV series of the same name, and follows a stuntman working with his ex-girlfriend's directorial debut action film, only to find himself involved in the conspiracy surrounding the film's leading actor. Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. I did that description because it reminds me of when the show was on TV back in the day, and you had Ernie Anderson doing the promos for ABC at the time. The film follows a stuntman working on his ex-girlfriend's directorial debut action film, only to find himself involved in the conspiracy surrounding the film's leading actor. The Fall Guy, this fall on ABC. You know, that type of stuff. But directed by David Leitch, who has done... He's definitely made a lot of very intriguing films. He started his career off strong doing the uncredited co-direction on John Wick. He did Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw. His last film, Bullet Train, I thought was a very mediocre film. I didn't think it was as strong as his other works, but I like him as an action director overall. But my concern is with the writer of this, Drew Pearce, who also wrote... his films that he's done have been mostly mixed bags. I didn't like Iron Man 3. Rogue Nation's a great movie. Hobbs and Shaw is not a great film in terms of a story, but it's a fun film in terms of the action sequences. And then he also did stuff like Hotel Artemis, which wasn't all that great. But you also have Hannah Waddingham, Teresa Palmer, Stephanie Hsu, and Winston Duke among the cast here. And Lee Majors and Heather Thomas are also going to be in the film, who were the stars of the original movie, the original TV show. Reviews for this have been strong. This came out back at South by Southwest and actually has some pretty good solid reviews coming out of it so far. So, definitely the possibility that this could actually be somewhat good. I mean, there's a lot of things about it that I think are kind of interesting in terms of the trailer. Nothing really made me laugh in general, but I like Ryan Gosling, I like Emily Blunt, I like this director. Maybe it's got a shot to work. How it's going to do in terms of the box office is another story altogether. Because there's also some great counter-programming. I mean, who doesn't want to go see that incredible new supernatural horror film, Tarot? And some of you out there probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Well, I didn't know what this movie was until the trailer showed up on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The plot centers around a group of college friends who start dying in ways that are related to their fortunes after having their tarot cards read. Before their time runs out, they have to work together to uncover the mystery. And what do you think's going to happen in a movie like this? This is a film that's clearly not going to make much of a dent to the box office, especially opening the same weekend as The Fall Guy. I guess the only things it has going for it is that it's got Ned from the Spider-Man movies, and also the chick who played Karen in the most recent Mean Girls movie. So I guess there's that. But other than that, though, yeah, this doesn't look like it's going to be a good movie. Even the trailer for it looked pretty mediocre and bland. So I don't expect that one to make too much of a dent at the box office. But next weekend, the next weekend after that, on May 10th, we've got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the first film in the series not to be directed by, actually, not to be directed by the director of the last two movies, Matt Reeves, who's gone on to do the Batman movies, or who did the first Rise of the Planet of the Apes? I should know it. Rupert Wyatt is the guy I'm thinking of, but in this particular film, you have Wes Ball directing it, who did the Maze Runner movies, which started off strong, kind of fell off after that. I mean, they stopped being, they weren't bad movies in general, they just weren't as good as the first movie was, which was one of those big surprises when that first film came out. So, the Maze Runner films probably didn't work as well as they probably should have, but I'm really excited to see what he does with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This thing takes place 300 years after the events of War for the Planet of the Apes. Ape civilization has emerged from the oasis to which Caesar led his fellow apes, while humans have regressed into a feral, primitive state. The ape king, Proximus Caesar, armed with weapons forged from lost human technologies, perverts Caesar's teachings to enslave other clans. The chimpanzee hunter Noah embarks on a harrowing journey alongside a human girl named May to determine the future for apes and humans alike. You have Owen Teague playing Noah with the same kind of motion capture technology Andy Serkis played with Caesar, and Freya Allan from The Witcher playing May, and Nova, the young woman who joins up on the journey. The recent Planet of the Apes movies were some of the biggest surprises of the last couple of years, so I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do with a new direction, a new look overall. And the trailers look very promising in general, but I also like the fact that they're going all out with the campaign for this. There was like a viral marketing campaign they had recently where they had actors wearing realistic ape costumes on horseback and going over Venice Beach and Crissy Field to promote the movie. And it looks so incredible how these things look like something straight out of the movie. I mean, it really was just like, wow, where did that come from? And Kevin Durant is playing Proximus Caesar. I didn't know that. I just saw him in Abigail, where he looked like Elon Musk. But now that I think about it, his voice definitely sounded like Kevin Durant. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That comes out on May 10th. That's really the big new release that comes out that weekend. Unless you want to go see a bad parody movie that someone said, you know what? We missed the old Jason Friedberg, Aaron Seltzer days. Let's make a parody film. Let's make a parody film with Tyler Perry movies. How about not another church movie? And yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you about that one because we don't need to talk about that one. Let's go to May 17th. Let's talk about a couple movies opening up on there. We've got the big one being John Krasinski's If, which is a live-action hybrid comedy where you have a young girl named Bee who has been going through a troubling experience in her life and unexpectedly gains the ability to see people's imaginary friends, referred to the movie as Ifs for short, who have been abandoned by their kids they help. Bee then discovers that her neighbor, Cal, played by Ryan Reynolds, has the same abilities, and together they join forces to reunite the Ifs with their former kids. And this features a pretty star-studded cast that also includes John Krasinski, Fiona Shaw, Bobby Moynihan, Steve Carell, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Louis Gossett Jr. in his last film role, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Maya Rudolph, Jon Stewart, Vince Vaughn, Keegan-Michael Key, Bradley Cooper, George Clooney. A big cast involved in this movie. The trailers have been looking pretty damn good. This looks like a really fun movie to check out. So I'm really, really excited to see what they do with this movie. I mean, yeah, it's definitely got a lot of similarities to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That was the feeling I was getting from it, but it still looks pretty fun. I'm really curious to see how this works. I love the designs of all the imaginary friends here. They're also unique and different in their own very weird stylistic ways. They're just like, it just looks like it could be a really, really fun movie. And I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. It comes out on the 17th. Also coming out on the 17th, we have the Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black, which, as I mentioned, is the biopic about Amy Winehouse, talking about her career, how she rose to prominence, and then to her eventual passing in 2009. And I gotta say this, Maria Bella, who plays Amy Winehouse, this really does look like her. Like, I think that's gonna be one of the things that's going to really stand out about the movie. But then again, that's really kind of what you expect from a movie like this. I mean, most musical biopics nowadays, they try to go for the safest story ever to tell because, you know, why create a biopic where you take a look at the darker side of their storylines? Like, nobody wants to see that, says Hollywood. But actually looking at some of the mixed reviews for the reviews for the film, which has already opened up in the UK, the reviews have not been promising. 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, 49 out of 100, which probably means that this is going to be another one of those movies like Bohemian Rhapsody and Bob Marley One Love, where you have a good performance by a leading actor in it, but everything else is just your typical generic musical biopic, which that kind of bums me out, but I'm still curious to check it out just because of the fact that I like that actress, the way she looks almost dead on like Amy Winehouse. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing here. I hope it's good. I really hope it actually is a lot better than people let on, but for some reason I don't think that's going to be the case. But if those two movies don't do it for you, you can go see The Strangers Chapter 1 because, you know, remember that movie, The Strangers? That movie that everyone thought was going to be this game-changing film and really just kind of went away. They tried to do a sequel and then it didn't work, and then Lionsgate said, let's make a trilogy out of it. So The Strangers Chapter 1, you have this girl named Maya who drives across the country with her longtime boyfriend as the pair begins a new life together in the Pacific Northwest. Along the way, their car breaks down in Oregon, and they're forced to spend a night in an isolated Airbnb home. Through the night, they are terrorized by 3 murderous masked strangers. And I hope you enjoy this because this is going to be 3 fucking movies. Like, I mean, this one movie is supposed to be the 3rd film in the series, and it's going to be 3 movies on its own. Like, what the hell can you do with 3 movies with a concept that has already been done to death, really? I mean, really, what more can you do with this that hasn't already been done with the first 2 movies? I don't know, man. I'm not looking forward to this, and I don't think anybody really is looking forward to it, really, because there's not a whole lot of marketing going for it. It's just kind of there, and like nobody really is saying that much about it. But maybe that's why Lionsgate is putting it out on here, because they know this thing's going to get buried as soon as these 2 movies, that, if and Back to Black, open up, because yeah, this thing is not going to make that much of an impact in terms of the box office in general. Moving on to Memorial Day weekend, 2 big movies opening up. We have Furioso, a Mad Max saga, which is which is a spin-off on a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, set 15 to 20 years before the events of Fury Road. As the world falls apart, young Furiosa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm reading the last name of the young actress who plays the younger version of her, but it's Anya Taylor-Joy. Young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and into the hands of a biker horde led by the warlord Demetrius, played by Chris Hemsworth. While 2 tyrants war for dominance over the Citadel, Furiosa survives many trials as she plots her way back home to the wasteland. And the trailers have been looking really good. George Miller returning to form with what he did with the last movie. See, George Miller is the anti-Ridley Scott for me. Like, he's a guy that anytime he puts out a new movie, I'm usually there because he still has that style, that unique style that he can bring to these movies. I think a guy like Ridley Scott has been missing for a long period of time, and it just looks like a really good movie. It looks like a really fun film on the same level as Mad Max Fury Road was. It'd be interesting what Chris Hemsworth can do in this movie alongside Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, if anything, this movie is going to show that Anya Taylor-Joy is going to rule the world someday in terms of acting, because she commanded that trailer that I saw, the last trailer I saw for this. I mean, this could be a really, really good film when it's all said and done. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the Garfield movie opening up on the same day, which is directed by Mark Dindal, who's directed a ton of great movies: Cats Don't Dance, The Emperor's New Groove. And you have Garfield, voiced by Chris Pratt, the world-famous Monday-hating, lasagna-loving indoor cat who's about to have a wild outdoor adventure after an unexpected reunion with his long-lost father. Vic, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Garfield and his canine friend Odie are forced from their perfectly pampered life into joining Vic into a hilarious high-stakes heist. And you also have Hannah Waddingham, Ving Rhames, Nicholas Hoult, Cecily Strong, Harvey Gillian, Brett Goldstein, Bowen Yang, Janelle James, Snoop Dogg in here. I was a little skeptical about Chris Pratt playing Garfield, but the more I listened to him, the more I can definitely see it. I mean, he wouldn't be my first choice. My first choice, honestly, would have been Norm Macdonald, but unfortunately he's no longer with us, and it just really is a shame that we never got to hear Norm Macdonald as Garfield. I thought he would have made a perfect Garfield, in my opinion, but sadly, it was never meant to be. But Chris Pratt, the more I listen to Garfield, the more I realize that maybe he can make this work. I know a lot of people don't like him because he's taken all these roles now. Oh, he can't be Mario, he can't be Garfield. Why not? Like, I mean, the guy can be a really good actor. And you know what? The more I listen to Garfield, the more I'm willing to accept him as that, because I think he handles the role very well. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with this movie. It looks like it could be a ton of fun, and anything to make us forget about those god-awful live-action movies is a plus in my book. So let's go ahead and move on to the last weekend of the month, and that is May 31st, where we only have one major new release. And there was a trailer that came out recently. It's one I'm kind of interested in seeing. It's called Young Woman in the Sea. It's a Disney film starring Daisy Ridley from the Star Wars movies, where you have the story of Gertrude Ederle, an American swimming champion who first won a gold medal at the 1924 Olympic Games. In 26, she becomes the first woman to swim 21 miles across the English Channel. This is directed by Joaquin Roning, who also did Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and he also did Kon-Tiki, as well as Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. He's doing Tron Ares right now. This was a movie that was originally supposed to go straight to Disney+, but Disney saw what they had there and had positive test screenings to it, and they decided to put it in theaters, and it's going to get a limited release, which is very unusual for a Disney film. I mean, they don't usually do limited releases, and even when they do, it's usually when they did it back in the day for their animated films, it was just like a release at their El Capitan theater, and then the next week it would open back up. But no, this is getting a limited release, so I'm kind of curious of where they're expecting the financial compensation for this to become. But the film looked pretty good. I'm actually kind of curious to see how this works out. So one I'm definitely looking forward to checking out. Maybe when it doesn't hit theaters, I'll probably see it when it comes out on DVD or on Disney+. But that's what I'm definitely looking forward to checking out. It's also produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, too. So with that said, let's move on to June. Speaking of Jerry Bruckheimer, he will begin the month of June off with the newest Bad Boys movie, Bad Boys Ride or Die, the fourth installment of the series and the reuniting of the directors of the last movie, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, who got screwed over by Warner Brothers with Batgirl, but that's for another subject altogether. But you have Will Smith and Martin Lawrence back as Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, Miami detectives who investigate corruption within the Miami Police Department when the late Captain Conrad Howard is posthumously accused of being involved with drug cartels. But a setup turns them into fugitives, forcing them to work outside the law in order to solve the case. Some of the 7 people are back from the last movie. Vanessa Hudgens, Alexander Ludwig, Paula Nunez is also back in this one, as well as Jacob Scipio as Mike's son. New to the film series, Eric Dane, Ian Grufford, Tiffany Haddish, and they replaced the actress who played Marcus's wife. The original films, it was Teresa Randall, but now it's Tasha Smith, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I mean, the trailer for this looked like it was just as fun as the last time around. I mean, Bad Boys for Life was one of those films where it really did come out of nowhere and how good that movie was. I mean, I was really impressed with how well that film ended up becoming. And that film really ended up becoming my favorite film of 2020. One of my favorite films of 2020. But then again, not much came out in 2020 in general. But yeah, this one I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do with it. I like the new angle that the two directors here brought to the last film. So I'm really curious on what direction they go with this film. This is one I'm definitely looking forward to checking out on June 7th. Bad Boys Ride or Die. Moving on to the other film we have here, we have The Watchers, which is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's first directorial effort. Based on the novel of the same name by A.M. Shine, you have a 28-year-old artist named Mina who gets stranded in an expansive, untouched forest in Western Ireland. Upon finding shelter, she unwillingly becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers who are watched and stalked by mysterious creatures each night. So, it definitely has the feel of an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So I'm interested to see how this one pans out. I mean, does M. Night's daughter have the same directing abilities as her father? We'll find out when that comes out on June 7th, The Watchers. And then we have a Russell Crowe movie, another Exorcist film from Russell Crowe, The Exorcism, which you have to wonder, is this part of a Russell Crowe exorcism universe that we don't know about? I mean, do I really need to say what the movie is about? I mean, the film. I think the title alone pretty much tells you what this is going to be about. So I don't think I need to delve too much more into that one with the Exorcism. Let's move on to June 14th, and the big new release that comes out that week, of course, is Disney Pixar's Inside Out 2, which is, of course, the sequel to the original Inside Out. And in this film, we return to the mind of the newly minted teenager Riley, just as headquarters is undergoing a sudden demolition to make room for something entirely unexpected: new emotions. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust, who've long been running a successful operation by all accounts, aren't sure how to feel when anxiety shows up. And it looks like she's not alone, as we get introduced to several other emotions, including ennui, envy, embarrassment, and nostalgia, Bluefy. These are just some of the names that I see here from the cast list here. A lot of the same actors are back, except with the exception of Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling. They've been replaced by Tony Hale and Liza Lapra as Fear and Disgust. But everything else about the movie looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it's just as fun as the original film. I'm really curious to see what the dynamics are going to be for this particular movie in general. Will this be a film that lives up to the same hype as the original film, or will this actually be a movie that will be just seen as kind of a cash-in sequel? We'll find out together when this opens up on June 14th. So we go now to June 21st with a couple of smaller films in general. We have The Bike Riders, which was the film that was originally at 20th Century Fox before eventually they shipped it off to another studio. Focus Features took over the film. This is a film that stars Austin Butler, Michael Shannon, Mike Face, Norman Reedus, Tom Hardy, and Jodie Comer, and it's set in the 1960s following the rise of the Vandals MC, a fictional Chicago outlaw motorcycle club. Seen through the lives of its members and families, the club evolves over the course of a decade from a surrogate family of local outcasts into violent organized crime, threatening the original founders' unique vision and way of life. Reviews for the film have been out already, and they are very positive. And this is directed by Jeff Nichols, who did Loving, he did Midnight Special, Mud, Take Shelter. Really good director, good cast, good trailers overall, good posters for this. A film I'm definitely looking forward to checking out. I was really curious of why Disney decided to shelve this off, but they might be regretting that decision, because this could be a film that could end up being much better than I think they were letting on. But they at least have something open up on the same day from the director of Poor Things, his follow-up film, Kinds of Kindness, which had a trailer that came out not too long ago, which was nothing but just showing off the cast and playing Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, which that's all you really need to say about that trailer. But Kinds of Kindness is a triptych fable with several segments following a man without choice who tries to take control of his life. A policeman who is alarmed that his wife was missing at sea has returned and seems to be a different person, and a woman who's determined to find a specific someone destined to become a prodigious spiritual leader. Poor Things was very ambitious, and you can see why Emma Stone won that second Oscar that she won. But this film in particular, I really don't know how to feel about this one yet, because we really don't know too much about it. The trailers for it haven't really showed off anything yet, but good cast overall. It's Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, Hong Chow, Joel Awen, Mamadou Afi, Hunter Schafer. Good cast in general overall. So this is a film that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. So that comes out on June 21st. Heading on to June 28th, we have, to wrap up the month, A Quiet Place Day 1, the prequel to the Quiet Place series that features Lupita Nyong'o. And it takes place before the events of the first film, where you have Nyong'o as a woman named Sam, who must survive an invasion in New York City by bloodthirsty alien creatures with ultrasonic sound hearing. Trailer for this came out around the Super Bowl, and it looked pretty good. Like, it really continued what made the other two Quiet Place movies so special. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this, and I'll see what they can do with it. And we have another multi-part film here. Kevin Costner with his big epic film, Horizon and American Saga. Why did I say Horizon? Horizon and American Saga, which is the first of two films set in the American Civil War period, depicting the expansion of the American West. You have Kevin Costner starring in it as well, with Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Giovanni Ribisi, Jenna Malone, Abby Lee, Michael Rooker, Danny Houston, Luke Wilson, Jeff Fahey, Will Patton, Thomas Hayden Church. Just a big cast in general here. it's a two-part film because we have a second film coming out at the end of the summer. I'm really interested to see how this one's going to pan out. I mean, there's possibilities for something good there, or it could be really pretentious. It could be that way because sometimes Kevin Costner's films can be seen in that level of dynamics. But we'll see how that one pans out. Got maybe some promising things, but I'm not entirely sure how that's going to turn out. But so with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the middle of the summer, and that is July. And of course, we have 4th of July weekend, which means we've got to have the big family adventure for everyone to go out to see on the holiday weekend. And this year we have Despicable Me 4, the 4th installment of the Despicable Me series, the 6th in general, if you include the Minions spin-offs. And then this time you have Gru, voiced by Steve Carell, the world's famous super villain turned anti-villain league agent, returning for an exciting, bold new era of Minions mayhem. Alongside with his wife and fellow anti-villain league agent Lucy, played by Kristen Wiig, the three adopted girls Margot, Edith, and Agnes, and the newest member of the Gru family, Gru Jr., who is intent on tormenting his dad. The family is forced to go on the run when they become targeted by escaped criminal Maxime Lemay, played by Will Ferrell, and his femme fatale girlfriend, Valentina, played by Sofia Vergara. In addition to them, you have Joey King, Miranda Cosgrove, and Stephen Colbert, Chloe Fineman, and Chris Reynard among the cast here. Mike White wrote this. He wrote Migration. He, of course, wrote The White Lotus, directed by Chris Reynard, who did I think he did the last Minions movie, if I'm not mistaken. But not really much more to say about this one because the trailers overall have been what you kind of expect for a Minions movie. You have the Minions doing what they do best, and you have a storyline going on here that will not really give much in terms of the plot in general, but we'll have to wait for the movie to actually come out. I'm surprised there hasn't been a new trailer out yet. It's been a couple months, and we're only about 2 months away from this actually being released. So who knows? Maybe we'll actually get a trailer pretty soon for this. But I don't know. In terms of the Despicable Me movies, I've said it before. I've kind of liked the Minions movies more. But the Despicable Me movies, they're just kind of there, honestly. I think the best one was the third film in general. But even then, it was just kind of like, these movies don't really leave much of a lasting impact on me in general, so I don't really know for certain how to. If this turns out to be the best one, maybe this is probably the right decision because they do kind of get better as they go along. So, I guess there is that. But moving on to the next weekend, we have 2 movies of noteworthiness: Fly Me to the Moon, which is Greg Berlanti's latest film with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum, and takes place during the 1960s space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. A relationship develops between the NASA director in charge of the Apollo 11 launch and the marketing specialist brought in to fix the public image of NASA and stage a backup fake moon landing. This is a co-production of Apple TV Plus, which means that it's one of those Apple original films, so I guess the budget on this is going to be around $200 million, which means this probably will not make its money back, but this film, the trailer came out for it, looked promising enough on its own, but Ray Berlanti's been a mixed bag as a filmmaker as a whole. Like, sometimes he can make a good film like Love, Simon, but then he does something really, really lackluster like Life as We Know It, or writes something like Green Lantern or Wrath of the Titans, which are terrible, terrible movies. So, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. It could be good, but I'm not getting too much of my hopes up yet. We have Long Legs, which there's been some trailers for it out as early as this year so far, and there's been a lot of excitement for just where this could possibly go. You have a film that takes place in 1974 where you focus on Lee Harker, a new FBI agent who's been assigned to an unsolved case of a serial killer. As the investigation becomes more complicated with occult evidence uncovered, Harker realizes a personal link to the killer and must act quickly to prevent another family murder. Nicolas Cage is the serial killer in here. You have Micah Moreau, Blair Underwood, Alicia Witt in the cast, directed by Osgood Perkins, whose last film was Gretel and Hansel, which is not a good sign, but the trailers have definitely looked a lot more promising than you would think, so who knows, this might be this year's Talk to Me, that sleeper horror hit that nobody really sees coming. So we move on to July 19th, and probably one of the least excited movies I'm looking forward to this summer, and that is, of course, Twisters. Because the original Twister was fine on its own, but no. We need to reintroduce Twister to a new generation because, it worked so well with Independence Day, and no, it really didn't. And Twisters, the plot of this movie. What is the plot of this movie in general? It's an update to the 1996 movie. As storm season intensifies, the past of former storm chaser Kate Cooper lured back to the open plains after a devastating encounter years prior, and reckless social media superstar Tyler Owens collide with terrifying phenomenon never seen before and unleashed. The pair and their competing teams find themselves squarely in the paths of multiple storm systems converging over central Oklahoma in the fight of their lives. Did you see the first movie? It's going to be more of that. Like, I haven't even seen the film, but I can tell you right now, it's just going to be a rehash of the first movie again. And, you know, if we had a good director to do it, maybe this could be something, but no. We have to get a director who's never directed a blockbuster film before. We have to get the Oscar-nominated director who, he made Minari, which is a film that was part of the Oscar nominees a couple years ago. That's more than enough for us to convince us to get him to direct this film. Like, it just baffles me why we're doing this again. Nothing about this trailer that came out during the Super Bowl was interesting whatsoever, and it just looks like the same movie that didn't even work that well the first time around. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get why they're doing this, but they're doing it. It's happening, and it comes out on July 19th, so you could bet that I'm not going to be there. I probably will have to, because that'll be a movie I'll probably have to review. But it'll be worth. I guess it'll be worth it, because that means that after I see it, we'll be a couple of days away from the best movie, the most important film this summer, the one I'm looking forward to the most, Deadpool and Wolverine. And this is the third installment of the Deadpool series, in which Deadpool has been asked by the Time Variance Authorities, from Loki, of course, a bureaucratic organization that exists outside of time and space and monitors the timeline, as they pull Wade Wilson from his quiet life and sets him on a mission with Wolverine that will change the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The trailer for it just came out this week, the new trailer for it. They did a great job of not showing off the big cameos that they have here, the big spoilers and all that. I mean, leave us wanting more, man, and that's exactly what they're doing here, and quite frankly, that's really all I need to say about this movie, man. I really cannot wait to see this movie. I mean, this is the movie that I'm most looking forward to see how they bring Deadpool into the MCU, how they're able to do this with an R rating, and, like, I can't wait for this, man. I mean, I'm so pumped up for this. I'm really looking forward to this, and this will probably be the biggest hit of the summer, easily. It's definitely the big movie I'm looking forward to the most this summer, hands down. So let's go ahead and jump into the month of August. Which brings us now to the conclusion of the summer movie season. And August, there are certainly some intriguing projects. Some not as good as some not for what you think they would be. Others questioning what the hell they were thinking. Like our first movie that we have here, the adaptation of Harold and the Purple Crayon, because, no. We just can't do a regular version of Harold and the Purple Crayon where we have the little kid with the purple crayon. No. He has to be grown up, where we have to have Zachary Levi playing the adult version of the kid. That's literally what the plot of the movie is, and the writer of this book, Crockett Johnson, is probably spinning in his grave right now. This film serves as a sequel to the original book, where after the adventurous Harold grows up with his magical purple crayon and draws himself off the book pages and into the physical world, he finds that he has a lot to learn about life. So it's bad enough that you're completely missing the mark on the purpose of the original book, but we've got to do the whole fish out of water scenario and bring him into the real world. Like, I can't believe that somebody agreed to this and said that this was a good idea. I mean, yeah, you could throw as many good talented people in here as you want to, because there's a good cast involved in here, but no, I'm sorry. This is going to suck. This is going to be absolutely horrible. From that trailer alone, it was a disaster. And I can't believe that this is the guy that did a lot of the films for Blue Sky Studios. He did the Ice Age movies. He did Ferdinand. He did Robots. Why the hell would he go to this? Like this is the type of film that you could tell that this was made by the same studio head that was working at Fox when Ice Age came out, because Tom Rothman would be stupid enough to make a movie like Harold and the Purple Crayon like this. If he made this movie 20 years ago, this would have been released at Fox with no questions about it. But now he's at Sony, and he's doing the same thing there. And then, God, this looks horrible. This just looks like a terrible, terrible movie. But we also have My Old Ass, which is a very intriguing title for a film, and this one actually looked pretty intriguing from the plot of it. You have this girl named Elliot LeBrant, who has been advertised by her future self not to fall in love. It ensures she can follow the advice that she has been given. That is until she meets the boy her older self warned her about. Her older self played by Aubrey Plaza. Her friend is played by Maddie Ziegler. This is directed by Megan Park, who was an actress who did The Secret Life of the American Teenager. But the premise for this sounds pretty good. The reactions for this have actually been pretty solid as well, the critical reviews, because this premiered, I believe, at Sundance Film Festival, and MGM picked it up after that. So if anything else, that'll be the one film I'll probably be seeing on that day on August 2nd, and not that obviously going to be terrible Harold and the Purple Crayon movie. But let's jump ahead to the next week, and we have Borderlands, Eli Roth's adaptation of the popular video game, which is clearly, if you see the trailer, going for the Guardians of the Galaxy approach. You have Cate Blanchett as an infamous outlaw with a mysterious past, reluctantly returning to her home planet of Pandora to find the missing daughter of the universe's most powerful SOB, Atlas, played by Edgar Ramirez. Lilith forms an alliance with an unexpected Team Roland, played by Kevin Hart, who's a former elite mercenary now desperate for redemption. Tiny Tina, played by Ariana Greenblatt from Barbie, a feral preteen demolitionist. Krieg, Tina's muscle-bound, rhetorically challenged protector, played by Florian Montaño, and Tanis, the scientist with a tenuous grasp on sanity, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and Claptrap, a persistently wise-ass robot, played by Jack Black. These unlikely heroes must battle alien monsters and dangerous bandits to find and protect the missing girl, who may hold the key to an unimaginable power. The fate of the universe could be in their hands, but they're fighting for something much more: each other. So not only is there a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy here, there's also a little bit of Suicide Squad in there as well. And I thought the trailer for it looked kind of fun. I mean, it looked like a fun movie in general. I know people who are fans of the video game in general have been very mixed on it, which I've never played the video game, so I really don't know for certain how this is going to pan out, but the trailer looked at least fun, at least. I think it'll bring people in on that level alone if they're looking for something similar to what we got with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, but on the one hand, yeah, I can definitely see where... On the other hand, though, I can definitely see where people are coming from who are fans of the video game. But I'm curious to check it out. It comes out on August the 9th. Also coming out on August the 9th is the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, which is Trap. And in this film, you have a serial killer dubbed as the Butcher, who joins his daughter at a concert for pop star Lady Raven. Lady Raven actually being played by one of M. Night Shyamalan's daughters, Salika Shyamalan. But the Butcher realizes the concert is a trap set by the police to catch him. And Josh Hartnett is playing the Butcher, which I didn't recognize him from the trailer. And I kind of talked about it before in my little trailer review I did on here. Basically, what I think is going to happen is one of the following. Josh Hartnett is the Butcher, which, yeah, kind of, the trailer basically kind of lets it go that it is kind of that's what's basically happening. Josh Hartnett doesn't know he's the Butcher, and this is actually a split personality. Turns out this will actually be a split off a split. The grandmother of Hartnett's daughter, Haley Mills, is behind this and is really the Butcher. The daughter is really the Butcher. The singer really is the Butcher. That dude Hartnett talks to really is the Butcher. I probably gave you all the most possible twist endings that this movie has, and yet somehow it'll probably be even more outlandish and ridiculous because that's just what M. Night Shyamalan does best. And it could definitely go as any way. Like, M. Night Shyamalan's most recent films have been somewhat enjoyable. I've actually kind of found myself liking a lot of his most recent films, with the exception of Knock at the Cabin, which I thought was kind of bland, even though that one didn't really have a twist ending to it, but it was just kind of like, it was just kind of bland that he didn't have that in there. But this could go either way. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes from there, but we shall see what happens. Trap comes out on that same day on August 9th. There's also It Ends With Us, which I know nothing about, except it has Blake Lively in it, Jenny Slate, and Hassan Minhaj, based off of a novel by Colleen Hoover, who did, I think that's her only book she ever wrote. I thought that was the same writer who did Where the Crawdads Sing, which was a big hit that came out a couple years ago. I thought maybe that was going to be that, but I don't know. I don't know too much about that one, but that comes out on August the 9th. August 16th, we have Horizon and American Saga Chapter 2. But more importantly, we have Alien Romulus, the new film from Fede Alvarez, who did Don't Breathe and Evil Dead, the 2013 film. This is a film set between the events of Alien and Aliens, and the story concerns a group of young science space colonists who, while scavenging a derelict space station, come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe, and that is, of course, the alien. And it's definitely looking like it's going back to the roots of the original Alien film. It isn't trying to be this thought-provoking film that's going to easily win people over like Prometheus and Alien Covenant was. These self-congratulatory films that were really self-congratulating themselves before the film even was finished. But at least this film looks like it's going back to its roots, and it looks like it could be a ton of fun. There should be a lot of good ideas here, but hopefully this turns out to be pretty good. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it, and like I said, I can't wait to see how this pans out. That comes out on August 16th. If you really want something else that's completely out of the norm here, we have Ryan's World, the movie, the Titan Universe adventure. You know, Ryan, that kid who you see all over the place, and apparently and he has like a YouTube channel and all that. Yeah, he's making a movie, and it's coming out that same weekend, which, yay, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but I certainly am not going to check it out. Speaking of movies I might not check out, on August 23rd, we have The Crow, the new version of The Crow with Rupert Sanders directing it, who did Snow White and the Huntsman, and Bill Skarsgård as The Crow. It's the 5th installment of the series and serves as a reboot and a remake of the original film. And it stars Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven, a murdered musician who is resurrected to avenge the deaths of himself and his fiancée, played by FKA Twigs. Danny Houston is also in here as well. I don't know about this one. I mean, the original film is too good of a film to really remake. And they've been trying to remake this for years now. And I just don't see this working out. The trailer for it looked pretty bad. I mean, this trailer looked pretty bad. It looked like they weren't even really trying with this film. And usually films in development hell do not usually pan out well, unless you have really good people behind the scenes. This one I don't think has that, so I feel like this is the film this film probably fits the late August mold of a film that's just going to be there and not make much of an impact, but because it was released when it was originally going to be released, this film probably would have crashed and burned at the box office, which this probably could still do, but also opening up on August 23rd, a movie I just saw the trailer for this week, Blink Twice, which is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz, in which she writes the script from it. And you have a story where you have a cocktail waitress played by Naomi Ackie who becomes infatuated with a tech mogul played by Channing Tatum and travels with him to his private island where things begin to go wrong. And you see these different people. It's kind of feels like a murder mystery, kind of like something on the lines of Knives Out. You got a cast that also includes Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Kyle MacLachlan, Haley Joel Osment, Gina Davis, Alia Shawkat. The trailer for it just came out recently. Looks pretty promising in general. It's one that I haven't heard too much about, but I'm kind of curious to see how that one pans out. That one comes out on August 23rd. And last but not least, we have August 30th, where we have two movies of noteworthiness, including They Listen, the new film from Chris Weitz. It has Catherine Waterston, John Cho, Ricky Lindholm, Keith Carradine, David Dastmalchian. And this is a film where you have... I was going to say what the plot was, but the plot is currently under wraps. So that comes out on August 30th in time for Labor Day weekend. But the big new release that weekend, the one that's going to be the big hit, I guarantee it, is Reagan, which is a film that Showbiz District is so high on. They went to CinemaCon this past month, and they were really promoting it as like a big summer movie. And it's just like, yeah, it'd be a big summer movie if it was another company besides the smaller company here. But you've got Dennis Quaid starring as Ronald Reagan, and it follows Reagan's life from his childhood to his years as President of the United States, told by a former KGB agent. The big problem with this whole thing is that it's directed by Sean McNamara, who also gave us such masterpieces of garbage like Casper, A Spirited Beginning, Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain, Bratz, Max Steel, The King's Daughter, Soul Surfer wasn't that bad, but he's been mostly known for his television work in general. It's a guy who's mostly been known for his work on video and DVD and television. I don't think I could trust him with a movie like this to make a film that's about as like supposed to be this big sweeping epic film that's going to be part of the summer movie season. And okay, Dennis Quaid kind of looks like Ronald Reagan. I'll give him that, but at the same time, I don't know, man. This just feels like a film. This just feels like one of those movies that comes out and like it's going to appeal to one specific audience in general, and probably will make its money back through that. But I don't see this becoming the big blockbuster that they think that this is going to be. That's just my personal take on it, honestly. But so there you go. That is the summer 2004 movie season in general. So which movies do I think are going to be the most successful, and which ones are going to flop the hardest? Well, I'll start off by saying that the biggest movies I think that are definitely going to be coming out this year, Deadpool and Wolverine, I think will be the biggest hit of the summer. I think that'll be a massive hit. Some of the other movies I think will probably do well. Despicable Me 4, considering how successful the other movies were. Quiet Place Day 1, If, Inside Out 2, Bad Boys Ride or Die, the Garfield movie, Furioso, Planet of the Apes. Those are the ones I think will be surefire hits in general. Question marks, The Fall Guy definitely comes to mind as a movie that it's a film that they're setting up as the big marquee film to kick off the summer, and I just don't know how well that's going to do in general. I don't know if that's going to have the lasting box office power they think it's going to have. What else? What's another one? I don't think it's going to do very well. I don't think the Strangers Part 1 is going to do very well. I don't think that there is much of a demand for that. Horizon, the Kevin Costner two-parter, I don't think is going to do very well. I don't think there's going to be enough of a buzz there to really get the success of those two films out there, because there's going to be two films of that this summer. Fly Me to the Moon could go either way. I don't think it's going to do very well. I don't think Twisters is definitely going to do very well. Neither will Heroine in the Purple Crayon. Films that might do well, Alien Romulus, depending on if it actually does something different compared to the other Aliens films. Borderlands, I think, might get the Guardians and Suicide Squad audiences in there. Let's see, the Bike Riders, Kinds of Kindness could be surprise sleepers. So could Young Women in the Sea, Bad Boys Ride or Die. In terms of the films, I think the biggest hit of the year is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. The biggest hit of the summer is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine. The biggest bomb of the summer, I think that's easy to figure out as well. Twisters, I think that's going to be the best. There's no demand for a Twister sequel now. There just really is not, and I don't think people are really going to be that invested in. I think that's going to easily be the biggest bomb of the summer, no question about that one. But I'll just kind of run down some of the other movies coming out for streaming. Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted comes out on May 3rd. That's going to be something I'm kind of curious to check out. Thelma and the Unicorn, a new animated film from Netflix, comes out on May 17th. Richard Linklater's Hitman comes out on Netflix on April 24th. Atlas on May 24th, which looks like a terrible Jennifer Lopez action film with Brad Payton directing it, the guy who did Rampage. Let's see. I'm scrolling through the list here to see if there's anything here. Fancy Dance, a new movie with Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon, coming out on Apple TV Plus on June 21st. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F is probably the biggest question mark of the year. Like, I want to get excited for it, but it's a comedy sequel coming over almost 30 years after the original film. In fact, 30 years straight forward after the original film. Comes out on July 3rd. I really don't know if it's going to be that good. My Spy, The Eternal City. I kind of thought the first My Spy was okay. But I don't know if the demand is really there for a sequel, but that comes out on July 18th. Fabulous Four with Susan Sarandon, Bette Midler, Megan Mullally, and Cheryl Lee Ralph. That's actually a theatrical release by Bleecker Street. Let's see. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all the notable releases coming out. So there you go. That's the summer movie season in general. And we will definitely see how this pans out. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and wrap the show up by taking a look at some recommendations for the week. In terms of recommendations this week, there isn't a whole lot of things I can recommend in general. There is some stuff coming out, but I'm not going to recommend Madam Web to you guys because I think you deserve much better. Same thing with the new Mean Girls movie. I did not like that film. Ordinary Angels, I have no real interest in checking that out, even though it's got some decent reviews to it. I think the big new releases that I can recommend this week, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Moon Knight all come out on digital, on Blu-ray and 4K for the first time ever this week. And they come out in these nice-looking steelbook sets. I should know because on Thursday when I went to Walmart, if you didn't see my Movie Stop episode from yesterday, when I went to Walmart on Thursday, they had all of the new releases out for this week. Every single one of them, including all 4 of those Disney steelbooks I just mentioned. So, go to your Walmart right now. If you might have them in your store, you might not. It just depends on where you're at. But those are my real recommendations for the week. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Moon Knight, all coming out on Blu-ray for the first time ever. But other than that, though, I haven't been checking out... I've only been checking out a couple of episodes of Knuckles so far. It's gotten some mixed word of mouth in general. I haven't gotten to the halfway mark yet. I've only seen about the first 2 episodes by the time I recorded this, and they're not bad. It's not bad. The first episode I thought was really, really good, and nice way to start off the show. But then I thought the second episode was fine, but I could tell that as soon as it went to another director, with Jeff Fowler directing the first episode, and this one directed by Ged Wright, I can definitely see a lot of the flaws starting to take shape here. I heard that by the time you get to the 4th episode, Knuckles is barely in the episode in general, and I've heard overall the show is good, but it's not as great as I think everyone made it out, was hoping it would be. It's definitely seems like a mixed bag of a show, but so far I've been liking it so far. I am starting to notice a little bit of the flaws there. I haven't gotten to the episodes where everyone really talks about where the real bad stuff comes from, but I'll get to that point. Hopefully I'll finish it up by the time we get to next week. But the first 2 episodes I thought were pretty good. So the first episode I thought was really good. Second episode was okay. So there you go. That's going to do it for this particular episode of the Reviewing Network Live. And thank you guys so much for watching. And next week we jump into the month of May. So we're now about a third of the way through the month, through 2024 already. That's amazing to think about. But here we are. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And if you want to see more videos like this, check out our last episode, the NFL Draft Reaction episode. Check out some of the other episodes we've done below. And if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We put up videos every day. I'm doing the Time About the Movies clipless versions on this channel. There's always new videos every day as I'm trying to speed through all the years that I've covered so far. I just finished 1992 yesterday, and I'm going to get to 1993 this week. And we also have some trailer reactions as well, and some more stuff coming down the line. So if you want to see all that, hit the like and subscribe button. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. And until then, we are out.